An almighty war of words has broken out between Elon Musk and the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, after Musk claimed on Monday that the violent riots sweeping the UK meant that, quote, civil war is inevitable. So the Prime Minister slammed the comments, claiming there was no justification for it. But the billionaire owner of X, formerly Twitter, hasn't backed down, has he? After hundreds of Muslim men violently attacked a pub and an individual man in Birmingham last night, Musk today took to the social media platform to ask the Prime Minister, why aren't all communities protected in Britain? He went on to brand Starmer two-tier Keir.
Remember when Keir Starmer thought staying quiet was a power move? Turns out silence is only golden when you're not being publicly filleted by Elon Musk on live TV, like a salmon at a tech bro cookout, because nothing screams is strong leadership, quite like getting verbally pancaked by a billionaire who treats social norms the way he treats Tesla deadlines, as vague suggestions.
They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the Online Safety Act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling. Guardian columnists got their knickers in a twist, saying Musk should be on trial in the UK for inciting the riots. And Keir Starmer's champagne socialist biographer, Tom Baldwin, called for regulation of social media platforms, even saying free speech was not absolute. Make no mistake, the minority racist idiots who caused the worst of these riots have opened the floodgates for a power grab of our civil liberties under this Labour government. And it's a crying shame that it's a US-based South African who's the only one with the balls to stick up for British citizens.
Now let's talk Elon Musk, the man who once challenged Vladimir Putin to a cage match on Twitter and has the attention span of a caffeinated squirrel decided, out of sheer boredom or strategic trolling, to unleash a live TV monologue that somehow turned into a one-man wrecking ball aimed directly at Keir Starmer. Was Keir in the room? Of course not. Did that stop Elon from turning him into intellectual roadkill? Not for a second.
Meanwhile, Danica, the boss of X or Twitter, Elon Musk, is in a brawl with Britain's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, who I must say is acting like a weak man trying to be strong during this crisis. Starmer tweeted, "We will not tolerate attacks on mosques or on Muslim communities," to which Musk quite reasonably replied, "Shouldn't you be concerned about attacks on all communities?" Isn't Musk right? Hasn't he put a finger on something that's angering the anti-immigration riders who talk about two-tier policing?
While Starmer was probably somewhere meticulously alphabetizing Labour Party pamphlets or rehearsing how to say working people without sounding like a malfunctioning robot, Musk went full scorched earth. The man started with politics, veered into Starmer's economic plans like a Tesla on autopilot headed for a brick wall, and then looped back around to casually imply that Keir's entire leadership is basically a badly coded app glitch.
For democracy.
You belong to a party that sent activists to America to actively plot to, and I quote, kill Elon Musk's Twitter. Labour activists in a centre for countering digital hate that was set up by a certain Morgan McSweeney, happens to be Keir Starmer's chief of staff. I wonder why Elon Musk has suddenly got a really strong interest in Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, because let's be honest, Barry, all of those statements that Labour MPs made about Donald Trump, all of those bizarre statements they made about Elon Musk, guess what? These guys don't really like that. They don't like being abused. They don't like being insulted. So they're going to call you out when you fail, like when you fail with these white working class girls in communities.
Because here's the thing, Keir Starmer leads like he's afraid someone's going to give him a Yelp review. His policies, less bold strategy, more 1996 PowerPoint presentation. Elon, on the other hand, treats subtlety like he treats unions. He doesn't acknowledge its existence. So watching Musk go off on Starmer was like watching a flamethrower take on a soggy napkin.
Do you have any reaction, Prime Minister, to a post by Elon Musk this morning suggesting that America should liberate Britain from a tyrannical government?
Let me deal with the health crunch, because it's really important. Look, in relation to that, I don't really have any comment on the particular comment that was made this morning by Musk. Thank you.
Let's talk about leadership style. Starmer projects all the charisma of a British filing cabinet. He manages to speak for 20 minutes and say less than a celebrity acceptance speech. Meanwhile, Elon's out here doing mental somersaults on international television, half the time not even knowing what show he's on, but still somehow landing more blows than the entire Conservative opposition during PMQs. When Musk lit into Starmer's economic plans, he basically called them what they are: confusing, flimsy, and about as inspiring as a cold toast sandwich. And let's be honest, Keir's entire economic philosophy seems built around the idea of promising as little as humanly possible while smiling nervously and hoping no one asks for details. It's like he took "Don't rock the boat" and made it his entire personality. Musk, on the other hand, just pointed at Starmer's strategy and laughed, like someone watching a goat try to solve calculus.
In Britain, I kid you not, how can this be real? They are releasing convicted people from prison in order to put people in prison for Facebook posts.
To be fair, those are
thing.
posts that criticize the government, so they have good reason.
They would actually, some of these posts that these ones I've seen, didn't actually criticize the government. Well, they were seen as sort of as hate speech.
Because they noticed the society getting crappier and crappier with every year.
There were migrant gangs in England that were gangs that would run around and prey on young girls. Some people found that objectionable. They were upset about that. And so they complained about it online and were sent to prison. That sounds crazy.
Because, let's face it, Starmer's boldest economic move so far has been to timidly suggest maybe we could think about possibly considering reviewing something vaguely budget-related eventually. And don't get us started on energy policy. Starmer wants to lead Britain into a green future, but he's doing it like someone who's afraid of offending a kettle. He'll declare some vague commitment to clean energy, but when asked for a plan, he mumbles something about long-term strategy and scurries off like he's late for a lukewarm tofu dinner. Meanwhile, Musk is over here building solar-powered rockets, reinventing the grid and launching satellites just because his toast got cold one morning. Now imagine these two worlds colliding on live TV. One's talking about hydrogen buses like it's 2004, and he's trying to impress a committee of very stern librarians. The other is casually nuking Mars in a thought experiment and dunking on Starmer's climate agenda like it's a poorly written high school essay.
You're saying, I think the number of people that have been arrested for just social media posts is bananas. It's in the thousands.
Yes, several thousand people have been given prison sentences in the UK for social media posts where there was no explicit link to actual violence, but they just said it encouraged violence. We're like, well, did anyone actually do anything as a result of that media post? Well, no. But they just and then they have a prison overcrowding situation in the UK, so that quite literally releasing convicted people and putting people in jail for Facebook posts.
And what about Starmer's legendary ability to dodge commitment? Honestly, if there were an Olympic event for fence sitting, he wouldn't just take home the gold. He'd set a new world record and insist on a committee to determine if the medal should actually be bronze for balance. The man has turned indecision into an art form. Brexit. He was for it, against it, for a second referendum, then sort of okay with it, but only if nobody asked too many follow-up questions. Strikes? He supports workers, just not when they're actually doing anything inconvenient like striking. Public ownership. He likes the idea in a vague, nostalgic, non-binding kind of way. Elon Musk, on the other hand, treats commitment like a roller coaster engineered by a sleep-deprived raccoon. Reckless, disjointed, borderline dangerous, but undeniably entertaining. He doesn't hesitate. He charges headfirst into every chaotic whim with the enthusiasm of a caffeinated toddler. You might not agree with the direction, but at least he picks one. Keir. Keir's still at the gates of the theme park, clutching a risk assessment and asking focus groups whether roller coasters are electorally viable.
Keir Starmer's Labour has not only become a headache to the British people. Now, Elon Musk has targeted Labour since they recently announced the painful October budget. Elon Musk didn't like Labour's implementation of the inheritance tax on the UK family farms, and criticized Keir Starmer's Labour for making those changes. On X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk wrote, "We should leave the farmers alone. We owe farmers immense gratitude for making the food on our tables."
Let's not forget how Starmer, in all his majestic beige-flavoured centrism, manages the impossible feat of alienating both left and right simultaneously. He tells workers he's their champion, then vanishes the second a union demands action, ghosting them like they're texting too many heart emojis. It's not leadership. It's a strategic disappearing act. Musk didn't need a 40-page dossier to cut through that nonsense. He summed it up with the elegance of a wrecking ball, confused pandering, dressed up in a Marks and Spencer suit, performing Shakespearean indecision on the Westminster stage. Starmer doesn't walk the line. He builds a bureaucratic maze on it and then forgets where the exit is.
And on Elon Musk, I do need to ask you this. He called your safeguarding minister, Jess Phillips, an evil witch, a rape genocide apologist who should be put in jail. Does that sort of abuse of a minister make you feel angry? And what is your response to that? Thank you.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. But you asked me a really important question that's been in the news for the last few days. I am going to, with permission, just answer it quite fully.
There's also the little matter of vision, or, in Keir's case, the stunning lack thereof. Starmer's vision is like a foggy windshield in November, blurry, dull and slightly damp. He speaks of progress, then proposes policies so uninspired they make beige look revolutionary. Meanwhile, Elon's talking about colonising Mars and wiring human brains into computers. Sure, it's insane, but at least it's not boring. And if you think Elon's takedown ended with policy critiques, oh no. This man took detours into Starmer's communication style. Keir, who delivers speeches like he's apologising for the inconvenience of existing, got roasted by Musk's brand of dry, condescending charm. Elon suggested, without needing to say it, that Starmer has the stage presence of a malfunctioning GPS. To be fair, Starmer is consistent. He consistently inspires absolutely no one. His speeches are the political equivalent of boiled cauliflower, technically nutritious, utterly joyless. Elon simply held that up to the light and asked the world, is this really the guy you want piloting the UK through an economic apocalypse?
So you just held your second Cobra in 2 days. Is that a sign of how worried you are about the situation?
The Cobra meeting was to coordinate our response to the disorder. And I made it very clear on a number of occasions that those involved will feel the full force of the law. So we coordinated, we went through some of the numbers. Over 400 people now have been arrested, 100 have been charged, some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in court.
Musk then wandered into the AI debate and somehow still managed to circle back to slapping Starmer. While discussing artificial intelligence, he casually pointed out that if we ever programmed an AI to mimic human indecision, it would basically be Keir Starmer. An algorithm of doubt, draped in a sensible tie. Let's not ignore how deeply uncomfortable Keir's entire existence is whenever real pressure arrives. In crisis moments, he reacts like a printer jam. Lots of blinking, a whirring sound and no actual output. Musk, who thrives in chaos like a raccoon in a bin fire, couldn't resist highlighting this mismatch. It was like comparing a soggy Weetabix to a flamethrower. And what does Starmer do after being roasted like a marshmallow at a tech festival? Absolutely nothing, of course. Classic Keir: move, deny, delay, and then deliver a lukewarm press statement filled with words like complexities, framework, and broad consensus. The man makes inaction look like a deliberate strategy.
The owner of X, Elon Musk, has been tweeting over the past few days about your response to this crisis, about what's been going on. He's claimed that civil war in the UK is inevitable. He is a powerful voice. A lot of people follow him on Twitter. Are you worried about his impact, or might he have a point about some of the things he's saying?
My focus is on ensuring that our communities are safe. That is my sole focus. And I think it's very important for us all to support the police in what they're doing.
Even Labour supporters occasionally look at Starmer like they're hoping he's just a temporary placeholder until someone with a pulse shows up. Elon didn't need a political science degree to see that. He just turned on a camera and started connecting the dots, while making it sound like he was inventing sarcasm in real time. Then came the kicker. Musk wrapped up his Starmer roast with the kind of flourish normally reserved for Bond villains and really petty billionaires. He simply questioned why anyone would follow a man who's still trying to find the on switch to his own convictions. And honestly, after watching Starmer's public appearances, it's a fair question. Let's be real. Starmer doesn't inspire rage, excitement, or even mild curiosity. He inspires the urge to check your phone and see if someone else, anyone else, might say something remotely bold. Musk didn't just expose Starmer's lack of vision, he turned it into entertainment. Political critique via live-streamed comedy roast.
This government will get on with the job of protecting victims, including child abuse, mandatory reporting, accelerating the processes. But what I won't tolerate is this discussion and debate based on lies without calling it out. What I won't tolerate is politicians jumping on the bandwagon simply to get attention, when those politicians sat in government for 14 long years, tweeting, talking, but not doing anything about it, now so desperate for attention.
It's almost poetic. The UK's opposition leader reduced to a footnote in a billionaire's spontaneous rant. Starmer didn't lose a debate. He lost a monologue. He wasn't defeated in person. He was deleted in absentia. Musk made him look like background noise in a conversation he wasn't invited to, and that's the real kicker. When the most memorable thing about your leadership is how brutally someone else mocked it while you weren't even there, you've got a problem. Starmer's leadership is so bland, so meticulously cautious, that he can be taken apart in real time by a man who thinks X is a good name for a social media site. To sum it up, watching Elon Musk verbally vaporize Keir Starmer on live TV was like watching a cyborg criticize a toaster. One is flawed, arrogant, wildly unpredictable. The other is Starmer, quietly humming in the corner, hoping no one asks if he actually does anything. In the endlessly absurd circus that is modern political theatre, Keir Starmer continues to perform like an understudy who not only forgot his lines, but also wandered onto the wrong stage entirely, probably looking for the wine and cheese reception. Every time he tries to lead, he gives the distinct impression that he's rehearsing for a community theatre production of Leadership for Beginners. Meanwhile, Elon Musk crashes through the set like a rogue tech bro armed with a flamethrower and a Wi-Fi connection, turning the whole production into a malfunctioning TED Talk with special effects, sarcasm, and accidental genius. And you know what? It was glorious. Not because Musk is some noble democratic hero. Let's be clear, he's as subtle as a wrecking ball in a crystal shop, but because someone finally asked the question we've all been dying to scream into the void. Wait a second, does this guy Starmer actually do anything? And then, as if channeling the ghost of blunt honesty itself, Musk proceeded to answer his own question with all the grace of a wrecking ball strapped to a Tesla rocket. Cheers to Elon, the only man capable of completely torching a political platform without taking a single policy stance, breaking a sweat, or even showing up with a coherent plan. Just vibes, pure, chaotic Silicon Valley vibes. And condolences, deep, heartfelt condolences to Sir Keir Starmer, the only politician in history to be publicly vaporized without ever entering the room. It's like watching someone lose a debate they didn't attend. Now that is a political legacy carved in disappearing ink. A man so forgettable that he got overshadowed by a billionaire who showed up late, uninvited, and still stole the show while live tweeting conspiracy theories from his private jet. Bravo!